some key points, some of the bigger mysteries. We'll open up with the words of the Rambam at the end of Hilchos Megillah. So Rambam takes a lashon of Chazal very literally, that loss and lavo, Nevi'im and Ksuvim, it's Yeshiva's dream. Nevi'im and Ksuvim are going to be batal, right? Except for Megillas Esther. It's like Chamisha Chum Sheitar and Halachas of Torah Shabal Peshem B'Tem Lo'ilam, and the Ravid takes issue with that. How can you say that? How can you take that Chazal so literally? He calls it Divrei Hadyoitzeshem. Ki lo yivatel sefer mikol stram shein zer shein bo limud. It's Divrei Torah. Everything. Can learn something from every sefer. Just so the Ravid understands that it means that there won't be necessarily any chiyuvim to read chayva b'tzibur, other than Mikra Megillah. That's as read b'tzibur. But we're going to shelve all the Nevi'im and Ksubim. But that's what the Rambam holds, and we'll try to explain that. And then he goes on to bring another famous Chazal. V'afal pisha kol zichron tzar sevato shneimar kishchol tzar sarishas chinistru meina yimei purim lo yivatu shneimar yimei purim lo yavru yitachim zichron lo yosef. That were all the other holidays that which commemorate being redeemed from tsaros. We're not going to talk about Yitzias Mitzrayim. I'm not going to talk about any other oppressions that we ever had. But Yimei Purim lo yavru mitocha Yehudim. And so the Rambam is paraphrasing that Chazal, that all the Moadim are Sidim Libato, Chutz Yimei Purim, and in some Lashonos of Chazal it adds Yom Kippur also. We have to understand what that means and why that is. The amongst the big questions that there is to ask is that the big V'na'afochu was on Yud Gimel Adar, because that was the day Lahashmi Larav Abed. And that's V'na'afocha she'yishlo to Yehudim hema b'soneim, but we don't celebrate that day. We celebrate the day after. V'noach bar ba'asar, Noach hamishasar, but the nes was on Yud Gimel. That's when poor Haman, came up with the day to our extermination, and we flipped the whole thing. Purim should be on the 13th. Why is it like the day after? So it's a cryptic Medrash Rabbah that the Rashba says he thinks maybe Rabbi Kiva didn't mean it seriously. It's a Medrash Rabbah in the beginning of Parshas Chayei Sarah that says Rabbi Kiva was giving shir, and the Talmidim started falling asleep. Never happens to Rosh Chodesh, right? Right. Bikesh Loras, he wanted to wake them up, so he threw out a riddle. Ma Ra Sarah Sheticha Me'av Esim Shev Lashonim. Why Sarah lived 127 years? Ma Ra Esther Shetimach Me'av Esim Shev Medina. Rather, why is it that Hakadosh was so befitting that Esther should reign over 127 Medinas? Tavo Baspita Shel Sarah Shechaisa Me'av Esim Shev Lashonim V'Timlach Me'av Esim Shev Medina. Let a great-granddaughter of Sarah, who lived 127 years, come and reign over 127 Medinas. Right? Yeah. What does one have to do with the other? Right. Of course, there's a mitzvah, and one of the mitzvahs Hayom needs explanation, even though no one has a problem, keeping it on pure faith, right? Right. That's Mechayiv Inish L'Bsumi B'Puraya Ad Lo Yada Ben Or Hama L'Borach Mordechai, right? Right. Everyone's Mekayim Nasa V'Nishma. Don't explain to me. I'll just do it, right? So, Gabe that, But of course, you understand, what the message is over there, What I mean, Ad Lo Yada, was, right. So to unpack, some of these things. So Gemara says in Chulin Daf Kuf Lamed Tes, it's talking about Shiluach HaKen, and what is the halacha if Ken is on top of Rosh Adam, and then for reasons that we're not going to get into right now, the Gemara launches into Moshe Minator Minayin, and brings a remiss to Moshe before his born, and then from after that Hama Minator Minayin. Right, Hamina 8, right, and then after that, Mordechai Esther ben Torah Minayin, So all the Ramazim are very cryptic, but what's very interesting for our purposes, it says by Esther, the Remes verse is Vanochi Haster Aster Pana. Talking about Hester Panim, which is, it's when the Rebbe Shalom is upset with us, as that pasuk talks about. We started Panay by Omahu, Vayu Le'echo Rachman Litzlan. It's that's the Remes Esther Minatayra. So now, and also Haman's Remes from the Eitz Hadas, right? Hamina Eitz. So Kiyodal Keska Muhammad Hashem Ba'amalek Midor Dor. There's no other nation like that. When we were done with Paro, we were done with him, right? Right, and when we were done with Yavan, we were done with them. Right, and that's every other, a person that came and oppressed Am Yisrael. You're done with him. It's you turn the page, and what?
They could even become Gerim.
Yeah, everyone could become Gerim. It was a question whether we willingly accept them. But if they fool us, Mibnei Banav Shalhaman Lamdu Torah Bnei Brak, they could, jump. They could go undercover. They could.
That's how they got in.
Yeah, I mean, there's once it's chal. Anyway, but okay, now, but it just I just want to deal with the fact that Muhammad Hashem Ba'amalek Midor. Every generation, which is really a pillow how we can even celebrate Purim. We're not done with him. B'Shalom Chanukah, you're done with him. Pesach, we're done with Purim, right? Right? It's even a poem. We think about
maybe that's why we drink.
Yeah. So what's your excuse the rest of the year?
We don't have any.
Right. We
only drink 2 days. Today, come on.
Okay. Anyways. Yeah. But to understand, that the Hevdel Mahuti, right, between Amalek and all the other Umas, of which, which is Murum is what Bilam said, Rashis Goyim Amalek, right? So Rashis Goyim, that which is Mamash, an evil twin for Amiso that's called Berashis, Bishul Yisosh Nikru Rashis, which kind of explains how we have this, inability to get along because we're both competing for first place, both competing for point center. There's no two firsts, there's no two centers. Right, but the very fact that it's called rashis, right, as in the shirish, right, the beginning, that the every am is a particular branch, a particular type of evil, like a particular midah, as well, which would be the national character of that nation, right? And and a person could be matak in a particular midah, vanquish a particular form of evil, right? But the Yetzer Hara, so if you cut off that branch of him, he'll find another branch, find another way, right? And that's the amazing thing about Amalek, right? Which I don't have time right now, to prove this to you, but the Minchas Chinuch missed this, but it's in the Rambam and Sefer HaMitzvos on the assay of his Kuf Pei Zayin. Being Moched Shivas Amin, where the Rambam says, Kfar Ovad Zichron, he explains that that's not the case by Amalek. Even though, go find me Amalek on a map, they're just as assimilated with everyone else as the Shiva Amin that Kfar Ovad Zichron. Right? It's an amazing thing. Right? Amalek is the Rashis Goyim. He's the Shirish. And therefore, he could infiltrate any nation because he's the Shirish of all nations in a bad way. And that's what it means. Hamina Eitz. Right, that the shorish of Amalek is from the Etzem Chet Eitz Hadas that facilitated the whole mitzias of the Umas Ha'olam. Right, if not for the fact that Eitz Hadas, Adam and Chava would have just had a certain number of kids, which would be what we call today Jewish. Right, the Davar Nifer from Rav Isaac Chaver, it says that but Sefer Torah Meir Matzu Kasuv Kosnos Or with an aleph. Right. And he said, that's a kind of, as far as it's Marambas and the Madreg of Adam Rishon Kadam Ached, in the words of the Das Tvunas, right? Adam Rishon's guf was on the same level as our neshama is today. If Arai lived in Gan Eden, where only our neshama could go. So he went from Kosnos Or with an aleph to Kosnos Or with an ayin, right? Went from light to skin. What's the difference in gematria between or with an aleph, or with ayin, going from 1 to 70. Besod ata echoshav mikamcha goy chabartz. That's what it means. Goy chabartz, the aleph of or, the one nation that was always meant to be. But after Eitzadas went from or to or, ayin shivim umois. It all comes to a mushrosh in the Chet Adam Rishon when we went from, and that's where the orla comes from. The orla, the piece of skin that has to be removed, which kind of Amalek's connected the etzem mitzias of the orla, and he is connected the etzem mitzias hara, right? And that's why if you defeated him when he was Persian, you didn't defeat him when he's a Nazi, right? He could constantly shapeshift and be mislabish in every ummah. He's connected, he is the nation that is connected to Yetzer Hara. So as long as there is a Yetzer Hara in the world, there will be some manifestation of Amalek in the world. That's why Muhammad Hashem Ba'amalek midor dor, the avodah of the Doros to defeat the Ra and be metak and Chet Adam Rishon. There's going to, so long as you have to go midor dor, right, to undo the Chet Adam Rishon, Amalek will be there. Amalek will be there. He's connected to the etzem mitzias hara, right? And so getting rid of Amalek is not just about getting rid of a nuisance that's here and now. Getting rid of Amalek is about moving destiny to that great tomorrow where there's no more Ra in the world at all. And that's what's Merumas, right? From the beginning of Muhammad Amalek, it always comes up, right? Machar anochi nitzav arosha giva matlokim biyadi, right? And then afterwards, Mocher Esek Dvar Melech, that's what she exposed Haman, right? Yinosing Gam Mocher La Yehudim, of Shushan Purim, per se, which we don't have time to explain, right? Of why it's Mamish, the Purim of the future. Kilu Yerushalayim is rebuilt. Kilu Chomas Yerushalayim, which represent Gidro Shalom, have been reinstated, right? And Amalek has been, deported from reality itself, right? Build the wall, right? Get him out, right? So there's always an idea of that you have to get rid of Amalek, to push, turn the page on destiny to advance to the next level, and then from there until Atsof Koladoros, when you finally get rid of him. Right now, there's an amazing going that on the Tikkunei Zohar, famous Tikkunei Zohar, that Yom Kippurim is Yom Kippurim. Right, which by no coincidence is the other Chag that we say we will have lost level, right? Right? So, so as the Goin like this, the Goin says over there an amazing thing. All right, in every Yom Tif, you need Chetzel Hashem, Chetzel Lachem, right? He says, Yom Kippur is Kul Hashem, and Purim is Kul Lachem. He says they're two halves of the same day. It's besod, they're mamish two halves of the same day. That Yom Kippur is the Chetzel LaHashem of this great 40-hour day, right? And the Purim is the Chetzel Lachem. It's a davar nifla to be omer that they're mamish the same day, just besor Chetzel Hashem, Chetzel Lachem, right? But to understand the commonality and that these are the chagim of Las and Lavo. But now we're beginning to understand, that the in Las and Lavo there is no Ra. That is the great, future that we're looking for. The mochar lekabel scharam, but with Chazal darshan, mochar lekabel scharam, and not mochar la'asaysam, right? Because there's no more work to be done. Because the work is to get rid of the Ra and to fight with the Ra, right? The olam hagmul is where you enjoy a job well done, and there's no more Ra in the world, right? So now Yom Kippur, it's a day of tshuva, and on this day, all Ra is we koach tshuva, mekam shachal from the luvavo yam from bina ima ilah, and there's no more Ra in the world, and that's why there's no Yetzer Hara on that day. Has Satan is gematria 364, right? There's 365 days in the solar year, right? That's it. That's Yom Kippur, that the sun doesn't work. That's why we say Baruch Shem Kvod Malchuso out loud. It's kilu that there's bitul hara. Because we say it in a whisper, as the Ramchal explains in Derech Hashem, right? Because the world is infiltrated with evil. It's not really Hashem's glorious majesty, so we whisper it, right? But it's still true, right? But we whisper it because it's not the way things appear. On Yom Kippur, it is that way, but it's that way mitzad ha'oras parn. There's a tremendous or that comes down from the midah of bina that mamish, cleans everything out. Yom Kippurim. Keep double Bina and Malchus cleans everything down from Bina all the way down to Malchus. Everything, the whole house is clean, right? and it's a day of Bittul Hara, right? But that's Mitzad Ha'aras Purim. It's a day of the neshama, as a famous saying from the Simcha Buna Prashischa. He would be Mavata all the Tanesim, except for Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av, how can you? Yom Kippur, you don't need to eat. It's a day. It's cool in neshama. It's and we're on the neshama's turf, as it were. You don't need to eat, right? Purim is the other way around, right? Purim is the day of guf, right? And the mitzvah sayom is to eat and eat and eat, right? So now the guf was nivra from the meat of Hester Purim. Like Ramchal is marchiv on this a lot in the Das Tvunis. The neshama comes from the meat of Ha'aras Purim. And all ruchnius nivra in that meat of Ha'aras Purim. Of course, when the lights are on, all the choshech is dispelled. So they like Yom Kippur where the light shines bright. So of course there's no Ra in the world because the boogeyman has no place to be because light is shining everywhere, right? But there's another midah called Hester Purim, which is of course avada from the Ribar Shalom Alein, Einod Muvado. It's another hanhaga, but that's what facilitates the existence of Gashmias and ultimately can facilitate the existence of Ra in the world. That is the midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that facilitates its existence. Right? And so here's where Ha'aras Purim is, as much as it's Mavatal the Ra, but what happens if the lights ever go out again? If the lights ever go out again, the Ra makes a comeback. Right? The biggest Bittul Hara is if you could show that the very, very Hanhaga that turns out the lights, right? Is also not really a safe haven for evil. It's also for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So it's not really a safe haven that as if there's you could run there and you'll be away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You'll be escape HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hester Purim is also from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what it means, right? And that's the ultimate Bittul Hara, that there'll be loss and level. Is right where we're going to realize that whatever facilitated the Metzias of Ra temporarily is also from HaKadosh, which means the Ra can never make a comeback. I mean, it becomes understood philosophically that Ra was never a Metzias separate from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that could absolutely derail. It was only there to test us. Right, but that is the spitz of the Hakara, that Ra was never real. Not that from this point, Mikan Ulahaba, it's not real because now there's Ha'aras Purim everywhere. It's a Gilui Lemafre, it never was real. HaKadosh was always Eino Bovada. Hester Purim is also from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? And that's the biggest, Michuyev Amalek. He never had a chance. He thought he did, but he never had a chance. Because that to totally take the world away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the very thing that facilitated his existence was only HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And only to test us, right? And that's what it means. Esther minatar minayin vanochi haster Esther panai. That's the gili that there is on Purim. That there's a portal to the future, right? To the future, right? Where it'll become clear, even though there'll be or everywhere, like Yom Kippur. But there also the Gilui is not complete until you understand that Ra was never real. Not that Mikanu Habats. We understand it can never come back, right? Never was. Never was. It was just there to test us, but to test us, right? Right. So now you understand on Yom Yud Gimel is still the Muhammad. You're still dealing with him as if he's real. You're still in the avod of Muhammad Hashem Ba'amalek. And of course, during the Muhammad, you got to take them seriously. You got to be on your A game. Because that's his job. His job is to challenge you, and your job is to fight back, right? Yud Gimel, which is Zman Milchama, is not a time to celebrate because Yud Gimel represents the Muhammad Hashem Ba'amalek Midor Dor, right? It's the day after, V'noach Bar Ba'asar, the day after, right? The day after the job is done, right? But so long as the job is there, you have to fight with him, taking it, his existence very seriously as a very serious, very serious challenge that needs to be overcome. It's amazing. The Gemara says in Yuma, right, that Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Akel Gadol Gibar V'Anor." Right. Then Churban Bais came and Yirmiyahu said, "Goy Mecharkim Beichalo Aye No Rosa." And Daniel said, he didn't say no anymore. Right. And Daniel said, Goy Mishtam B'Banav Aye Gvurosav. And until Anshe Keslo came back and said, Adraba, hein gvurosav, hein norosav. Hein gvurosav, that Rebosha's kovesh kaso. He doesn't kill them out in a second. Hein norosav, shomoi morish al korsh broch echu moichol iskayim ben umos. Amazing thing. So, Daniel and Yamil couldn't square Gibor Vanoira with how things run. And Anshe Keslo come and say, Adra, hein gvurosav, hein norosav. What tipped them off? So the Radziner says, because Anshe Keslo lived through Purim. And they saw that, and they learned the lesson of Esther Menatorina, V'nochi Esther Ponai. Oh, in the words of my Rebbe, Moshe Shapira, Hester Ponim is Eich Hester Ponim, is Eicha Ponim from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hester Ponim is also a face of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what they learned that from Purim. That's where they learned it from. That Hein Gvurosav, Hein Norosav. The Rebbe is always in control. It's just in a different style. It's a different style. But since it's a different style, the avoda is different, right? Different styles machayev different things, right? Horus Purim, you could just go with the flow. Hester Purim, you have to resist the flow and you have to fight it, right? A person can't say, since it's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I could just be mispashed in my yetzer chas v'shalom. Chas v'shalom. It's the different. It's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's no milbar. There's only one bore, one manig, right? Which should give you confidence that you could defeat Amalek. Should give you koach to be nocham, not to chas v'shalom accept him. Yeah, he's a bria from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's a different hanhoga, which is different hanhoga from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is machayev, a different hanhoga from you. The hanhoga fight back. The day after a job well done, is a day where you could be nisanik, right? Al rov tova, and understand that this job well done that you did should know that it was also from HaKadosh Baruch Hu they just did to be mative to you and be mizaka you, right? So with this, we understand we'll close as a Gemara in Eruvin, right? Gemara in Eruvin that says that Shnasayim and Mechsa Beishamai Beisil argue whether Noach Ladam Shenivra Mishnivra or Noach Ladam Shalom Nivra Mishnivra. Nimnu v'gamru Noach Ladam Shalom Nivra Mishnivra. Noach Ladam Shalom Nivra Mishnivra. Nimnu v'gamru. They took a vote on it and decided no, it's better than Noach to not have been created. HaKadosh wants to be mative. He just explained the Gemara to me. HaKadosh wants to be mative to you, and that's why he created you. He'd say it would have been Noach Shalom Nivra. So, the Radziner talks about this, and about Tanya and his mom, Makatsarim, and Bekitzer Nimrod. Of course, when we say Noach, we're not talking about Tov. Noach is something else. Noach means easy, and that's mitzad the sechel enoshi, because that's what the brain that we have ever since Eitz Hadas measures. And, as the Revised covers Marchiv on this, the Rambam already said the Yisod in the second parak in the Morning Nevuchim, and it was developed by later Balei Machshava, right? That the seichel that we have from Eitz Hadas Tovara, that which gives us the human intelligence that we know, which allows for goyim and allows for chasrom leftism and transgenderism, that kilu could be justified. This moach doesn't measure emes versus sheker; it measures noach versus not noach. We prefer one scientific theory over the other, not because we know what the truth is, but this has less kashas, right? What it means, that's what it also means. Nimnu v'gamru. When we take a roiv, it doesn't mean that the MS is necessarily because if that's what most people think. It just means that's where the seichel hador is, and that's why that'll be the halacha, because that's where the moach of the door is. That's right. So what it means, Nimnu v'gamru, is that it's not possible for an adam to understand how it's kedai to face off against evil, because maybe you'll be mekalko. Maybe it's just better not, to not been created, because you might do wrong. You might go against Ritzona Yisbarach, right? So that's v'noach, that's mitzad the seichel enoshi. There's no way that's noach. I'm not talking about emes or tov, right? But that's what it means. I say that's what it's v'noach bar basar, v'noach hamishasar. When we reach on Purim, we reach v'noach that on this day that we understand how the Hester Panim also is mushrosh, and that's what it means. Ad de lo yoda. You get beyond chet eitz hadas. The seichel is nis'ala above the das of chet eitz hadas. Ad de lo yoda. You get out of the das tov v'ra, and you understand that Or Haman was for your benefit. It was for your benefit, but you can't say it bedas, right? Because then you'll give koch. Because in this das, that's tov as the mitzvah, you'll give him koch and you give him a bracha. You have to be ad de lo yada, beyond the das of eitz hadas v'ra, and then when we reach that, then it's v'noach. And then what's all the mitzvahs in the ra, which you have to fight. You have to fight. That's from Hashem. It's just to give you confidence you could defeat it, because that's what it's there for. But it's a different anhoga. Different anhoga from Hashem is mechayev, a different anhoga from you, right? The Anhaga from Horus Purim is that you go with, right? That's Ruchnius. Hester Purim is, from Hashem, but with the parents, man should view resistance. And that's how you get Ritzon Yisbarach from what he wanted from that Hanhaga. Yud Gimel is still a time of resistance and Milchama. The day after is when you said it was all for your benefits. So what was it? It was Besoid Kefil. That's where Chazal say, another Medrash Rabbah and Bereshit with this one, that say, okay, it's called Savine Tov Mode. Tov Za Tov. Tov Mode Zara. Tov Za Chaim. Tov Za Misa. The Ma'od, right, the very, that makes good, very good, is when the Ra is annexed onto the Tov, and Mode is also, says Oisius Odom. With the Odom, the that he fights against the evil, he converts and annexes the evil onto the Tov. And that's the gear that there's in Purim. Purim is a portal to the future, the portal to the day after. And that's what it's all Murumas. The very first Levaya, right, and Hesped and Kvur in history was Sari Menu. 2,000 years of world history passed is the first account in the Chumash, where they give cover to the Guf. Why? Because until then, no one understood there should be any Kedusha in the Guf, which is never best upon him. Why should it get any respect, right? And then take a look in the Zohar right there in the Medrash Hanel, Pars Chayzor, everything about Avram and Sarah is connected Neshama and Guf. Sarah is connected, and the Guf of the Tzaddik, Kedain Sarah Ikri. The Guf of the Tzaddik is called Sarah. And Avram being maspid, Sarah is the Neshama going to the Levaya of the body and crying over the body and protecting the body until Tchias HaMesim, the body which is Nivra Behester upon him, right? Right, it's all there as a kli to be zocher to Tov Ma'od. Tov Ma'od Zu Misa, Tov Ma'od Zu Kvura. Like everything Chazal Darshan Born Brach Leis Mitzo, Misa, Kvura, right? And that's all rumors in Ma'aras HaMachpela. That you'll get there, that all the Misa and all the Kvura and all the Hefsedim are all to be Zocha to Kefil, that when the Ra is annexed onto the Tov, and that came to fruition with Esther Amalka. Okay.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
127.